Number 10. Made of stone. This one disturbs me so much and it's terrifying that it hasn't been solved yet. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, which hopefully you are, you've heard of grayscale, the disease that like poor Shireen Baratheon suffered in the series. Yeah, you know what I mean? Well, it may have been inspired by something that actually exists. Though there is a 1 in 2 million chance of getting it, it does happen. What is it exactly? Stoneman syndrome is a condition where the ligaments, tendons, muscles all slowly turn into bone. It starts with a stiffness in the neck and shoulders and then gradually moves down the body. Imagine having 2 different skeletons in your body. That's kind of what it is. What's even more heartbreaking about this mysterious disease is that you can't remove it. In fact, any attempt to remove the bone makes it grow faster and come back stronger. I hope they come up with a cure as soon as possible, as currently there isn't one as to why it's a medical mystery. But because it's so rare, it makes it even that much harder to cure it because they don't have that much on file. Anyways, let's keep going. Number 9. Cyanomelia. I pretended I was a mermaid countless times as a kid, and still do every time I do a dolphin kick in the water because I'm like, I'm a mermaid. But I kinda don't want to be, and I'm kinda glad I'm not because of this. Cyanomelia is the condition in which a child is born with their legs fused together in a way that makes them look like a mermaid. Sadly, it doesn't have a happy ending, as most children born with this defect don't live very long. The 2 most famous cases are that of Tiffany Yorks, who was the oldest living survivor, living to the age of 27, and Shiloh Pepin. Patients of this condition barely survive the womb or the first few years of life due to organ issues that follow the disease. The exact cause of cyanomelia remains unknown to this day, as it appears to be a random occurrence and there's no way of predicting it. Number 8. Morgellons disease. This next one is a more controversial disease. Morgellons disease is an unexplained condition where a patient believes that there is something crawling beneath their skin. As a result, scabs and irritation erupt from persistent scratching, along with small fibers. It is controversial because the research done on the condition has yielded conflicting results. Some doctors think it is a result of a delusional infestation, while others believe it is an infectious process in the skin cells. The Center for Disease Control yielded a study that concluded it isn't caused by an infection. However, multiple studies have reported a possible link between Morgellons and another bacterial infection. To this day though, there is still no proven treatment or confirmed understanding of the disease, so for now it remains a medical mystery. Number 7. Landon Jones. It is rare for anyone to be able to resist the French fry. Everyone has that friend that says, no, I don't want McDonald's, like I don't want any. And then you order some and they always are just like, are your French fries? And you're like, get out of here, those are mine. Anyways, that would be me. Well, Landon Jones may be the only person who would be able to resist. On October 14th, 2013, the preteen Landon Jones woke up with a bacterial infection in his left lung, which was treated successfully, or so they thought. Landon lost his appetite entirely. This boy is literally never hungry. His parents have to bargain with him to eat, but unfortunately he keeps losing weight. After visiting specialist after specialist, the only thing doctors have been able to determine is that Landon may be the only one of his kind, which doesn't make it very helpful. There are no other cases like this in the world. Landon did start having absent seizures 3 years prior, which could provide some hint as to what is going on. The leading explanation is that it is a rare condition that affects the hypothalamus, the tiny area of the brain that controls hunger, thirst, blood pressure, and sleep. I wasn't able to find any recent articles referring to his progress now, but I hope, Landon, that wherever you are, that you are doing much better. Number 6. A water allergy. A human being can only survive without water for around 3 days, so this medical condition is definitely surprising. How can we be allergic to something we need to survive? The condition, while still a mystery, has a name: aquagenic urticaria, and affects less than 100 people across the world. Whenever someone with this condition comes in contact with water, they break out in hives and rashes that last around an hour, and researchers have no idea what the underlying cause is. The leading theory is that it is caused by allergens in the water, so patients are encouraged to drink purified water or bathe in purified water as well. But beyond that, they have no clue. Due to the rarity of the condition, there is very little data to study, but I think we can all be grateful it isn't common either. Number 5. Mandy Sellers. When Mandy was born, she appeared to be a healthy child until she started growing. Despite having a very lean frame, Mandy's legs alone weigh 200 pounds 5 times the normal size. She was a medical mystery doctors had no idea how to solve. The only way they could foresee stopping the growth of her legs was amputation. This procedure eventually happened in 2010 when she developed an infection. Even stranger though, this didn't stop the condition at all as the leg started growing back. Imagine how frustrating that would be. Fortunately though, according to Mandy's website, she was able to go on an experimental new drug that helped to shrink her legs. Then finally, after years of suffering, she was able to be officially diagnosed. Mandy's condition is the result of a mutation of the PIK3CA gene, the only one of its kind, something she's pretty proud of. Still, doctors have yet to come up with a more effective treatment as of 2019. She is still waiting for a new drug trial, and her legs appear to be kind of plateauing, so who knows where she's at now, but Mandy, I hope you're doing better. Number 4. Spontaneous accent. What do you mean? Nobody does that on this channel. Anyways, shut up, Rachel. God. Imagine waking up one morning and finally having the accent you've always wanted. I'm sure there is someone out there who wishes for that. But Rosemary Dorr wasn't one of them. Southern Ontario-based Rosemary Dorr immediately rushed to the hospital in 2006 after sensing signs of a stroke. She ended up spending most of that summer in post-stroke care, but what was very strange was her recovery. Rosemary took on an entirely new accent. Her Southern Ontario dialect became that of Newfoundland, and if you live in Canada, you know how different those accents are. She couldn't shake it. Rosemary was suffering from a real condition called foreign accent syndrome. It's a thing! Only 60 other cases have ever been confirmed worldwide. The first known was a Norwegian woman during World War II who started speaking with a German accent after a head injury. Very, very poor timing. The exact cause is still unknown, but you know, hopefully Rosemary's learned to live with that. It's a pretty fun accent. Number 3. The girl who cries stone. From a magic spell to a witch's curse, this little girl from Yemen shocked doctors and mystics with her strange ability. Sadia started literally crying stones since she was 8 years old and no one can sort out why. Her father was desperate to find a treatment, and despite many x-rays in local clinics, nothing out of the ordinary was spotted. Most of the stones came out in the afternoon, weirdly enough, and she can produce as many as 100 in a single day. Thankfully, they do not hurt her, and for the most part, her life is normal. Since her case, one other woman in Bajal experienced similar symptoms, except this time they were accompanied by bouts of unconsciousness and a swollen abdomen. She has since been treated and recovered fully, but as to what is wrong with Sadia, no one is quite sure. Number 2. Brooke Greenberg. Sadly, Brooke passed away at the young age of 20 before she ever found the explanation for her condition. However, there is a chance that she might never have been aware of it. Brooke's body refused to age, and at the time of her death, she had never learned to speak and had the mental capacity of a toddler and remained the size of a baby. As an actual baby, her survival was considered a miracle in itself, as she endured a stroke and several stomach ulcers. She also mysteriously had a brain tumor that put her into a deep sleep for 2 weeks. Then it disappeared and she woke up. Kinda weird, right? By age 16, she hadn't lost her baby teeth, though her bones had appeared to have aged, just not grown. Her case was enough to bring retired medical expert Richard F. Walker back to the field. In fact, he has made it his life's work to uncover what caused her condition. Her case has since been labeled Syndrome X, and he continues to study similar patients. He believes that if they solve it, they will not only help these people, but perhaps discover the key to the fountain of youth. And last but not least, a superhuman memory. If I were to have a superpower, I would either want teleportation or superhuman intelligence. I think about that every single day. So the mysterious condition that Jill Price has me like green with envy. God, oh, what I would do, the books I would read. Jill can name every single detail of every day she's ever lived. Give her a date and she could tell you everything she did with ease, from like how many stirs she stirred her coffee with to like what she read that morning, every single thing. Her condition is called HSAM, highly autobiographical memory, and why people like her seem to have this superhuman ability is a complete mystery. Brain images have depicted differences in the structure of their brains to muggles like us, but it can't be confirmed as to whether it is these brain differences that cause the condition. Oh man, but if they could patent that into like a super juice or a kind of coffee, I'd be so happy. I'd be just very, very excited about that, because good God, dreams to life, you know what I mean? And that was our list.
Kicking off our list at number 10. Dental surgery. Back in the ancient Egyptian world, it's not like you could just take a quick trip to the dentist to get your teeth checked out and cleaned, yada yada, and then you go home, whatever, right? The diet of the average Egyptian was most definitely not exactly, conductive to having an impeccable set of pearly whites. That's mostly due to the fact that the tools used to grind food would often leave traces of sand and or stone behind, which would naturally destroy your chiclets. And through documents found, there have been a few different dental treatments from that time that have been discovered, and it's pretty horrifying, like topical treatments and such. But one case was able to give us a glimpse into what is believed to be the treatment of an abscess, an ancient abscess. We love those. Even more interesting is a mummy that was found from the 4th dynasty. This mummy, in his first molar, was a bunch of surgically produced holes that they believe were used to drain an abscess, which clearly gives us some, very tangible evidence that dental surgeries were in fact happening all those years ago. And before we head into the rest of this list, we also have to remember that all this was done, or most of this was done, without anesthetics, right? No one's gonna put you to sleep, and then you wake up and you're like, oh, my teeth are gone, what happened? No, you were awake for the whole thing. It sucked. Number 9, Egyptian stitches. Yeah, gotta talk about Egyptians once again. I'm gonna talk about them quite a bit. They're the OGs. Just in general, while surgery did exist during ancient Egyptian times, invasive surgery wasn't quite as common because, well, obviously, like I just said, no painkillers, no antibiotics, the list goes on, right? No fun. One thing that's less invasive but still extremely important was seen quite a bit during these times. Use of stitches. Yeah, I've never needed any in my life, thank God, knock on wood that I don't need any stitches. Ancient Egyptians found different and effective ways to make their own sutures in order to close these large wounds. They did so by using plant fibers or hair or tendons or wool threads, anything, right? In the oldest known surgical text, which is referred to now as the Edwin Smith Papyrus that came from ancient Egypt, there are 48 different cases of stitches being described. 48, imagine being one of those 48. That's kind of epic, not gonna lie. Number 8, blood transfusion. Back around 70 AD, the Romans were pretty wild when it came to the Colosseum and the games that would go on inside. There was, a lot of bloodshed, and crowds would rush the arena after the day was done. Not to get autographs, but to hopefully get a sip of that sweet gladiator blood. Yeah, blood back then was a magical elixir. And then near the early 1500s, blood was seen as this youth juice. Yeah, you drink some young blood as an elderly, and then those knees, your patellas, would apparently start working again. A lot of theories surrounding blood back then. And in the Middle Ages, bloodletting was a go-to when you were sick because they thought your humors were out of balance. It is so hot in this goddamn room. In 1628, blood circulation was discovered by a man named William Harvey. That changed the game, right? Now, the idea of something going into your bloodstream was in the picture hypothetically. That's a little odd. So we started to test this out on canines. Scientists were injecting them with different substances, and slowly but surely, that turned into blood transfusion between animals, between canines. So this is back in the 1660s, right? That's how early we started injecting things with blood. It's kind of gross. Number 7, cataract surgery. Okay, don't tell him I told you this, but Kyle, my brother Kyle, our other lovely co-host on B, is blind in one eye. Yep. Kyle was born with a cataract, but you would never know because he plays rugby amazingly and somehow he reads this tiny prompter. I can barely do it with 2 eyes. No idea how you do it, man, you're a champ. Cataract surgery is one of the oldest surgeries in the book. Well, rather in the painting. It was found in a tomb in ancient Egypt. It was a painting of what is surely the oldest recorded eye surgery. Scientists are able to make this conclusion due to the length of the tool that the doctor is holding. They believed this was a method called couching, which happened to be recorded. See, the needle would push the cloudy lens to the bottom of the eye, ideally fixing their vision. The oldest tools found in Egypt tell us that 4,000 years ago, this was the first time it had been done. But afterwards, evidence of couching was found all over the world. Now, it wasn't until 1747 until Jacques Daniel, a doctor in France, he performed the first ever cataract extraction surgery in a modern sense. He was the OG. Every method sounds wildly uncomfortable. If you've been through this, like Kyle has, kudos. Number 6, skin treatment. As soon as summer comes around, honestly, it's game over. I burn so easily. That's why I'm a fan of winter, right? I don't have to keep applying sunscreen to my face all day and feel like I'm about to faint. But how did ancient Egyptians beat the heat back in ancient times? They didn't have Banana Breeze SPF 35. No, ancient Egyptians valued their skin as a symbol of beauty. Yeah, you think your morning skin routine requires a lot of work? Buddy, read a book. Their routine was written on tomb walls and scrolls. They used rice bran containing UV absorbing gamma oryzanol. Yeah, that was used to block the sun off. Jasmine as well helped repair sun damage. Ancient Greeks would use olive oil as sunscreen, which as far as UV protection goes, it did absolutely nothing. you're burnt and dehydrated, but also you look good, okay? Tan lines, I see you. Number 5, cancer treatment. All right, the big C. Cancer is something that obviously very prevalent in our modern society, and because of the rising rates, it makes us ask ourselves, did cancer exist in ancient times? If so, where was it recorded? While they didn't call it cancer, it definitely did. Some of the earliest evidence of cancer is found in ancient manuscripts, mummies, fossilized bone tumors that have been found in ancient Egypt specifically. There are tons of examples and different forms of cancer that have been found throughout, but perhaps the oldest comes from 3000 BC. And it was found, like I said, in the Edwin Smith papyrus that we talked about before. Now in this text, it describes 8 cases of tumors or ulcers of the breast and how they treated them back then, or at least tried to. See, back then these tumors were removed by cauterization using a tool called a fire drill. Other than this though, the text says in reference to the illness that there is no treatment. So in ancient times and today, we're still trying to figure this one out. Number 4. Tooth extraction. You may not think of surgery when you talk about tooth extraction, but this for sure counts as surgery. I've had a tooth pulled. It's pretty intense. Every time something gets removed from your body, I'm gonna count that. And if there's definitely blood involved, yeah, I'm gonna count that. Getting a tooth pulled is still so barbaric. Even today, they don't like slice a line and then gently slide the tooth out or anything surgical. No, they just have 2 dentists grab your tooth at the same time, put their foot up, and then yank it out. I was numb, sure, but it was still weird, okay? Back in the day, pulling teeth was done not to make room for braces, but to solve any problem, or all problems, regarding your teeth. Yeah, cavity, gone. Toothache, see ya. Oh, some plaque? No problem. Today, we're lucky to have x-rays and modern technology, to tell us if a tooth is coming in sideways or which ways, but back then, some believed that it was tooth worms. Yeah, this feeling over here, could be a worm. Go get it checked out. Could have worms in your head. Gross. Aristotle and Hippocrates wrote about dentistry around 500 BC, and the way they would handle tooth decay or extraction was by using metal wires to fix wobbly teeth or even a broken jaw, aka ancient braces. Number 3, trepanation. One of history's oldest surgeries. Trepanation was also, it was the worst. It was horrible. To this day, we're not even sure why this was a thing, but we picked up a few ideas along the way. Let's talk about it. Turning the clocks back to thousands of years ago, trepanation was the practice of drilling holes into your skull. A popular theory is that trepanation was done to release evil spirits. Yeah, let's drill some holes in our skull and see if our mental illness just goes away. That'll help. As barbaric as this sounds, skulls found in Peru hint that this procedure wasn't as fatal as you'd first guess. The reason this would happen was also to clear out bone fragments after skull fractures, right? So you show up with a headache and leave with a hole in said head. But honestly, the fact that you're leaving at all is surprising, given the time. They didn't have any advanced medical instruments, but they did have sharp ones. This was the first surgical procedure, it was around 6500 BC. The term trepanation comes from the Greek term trepanon, borer, to drill. Number 2, rotting whale body. Okay, not all these are not disgusting. One of the most strange things on display at the Australian National Maritime Museum exhibit has got to be the whale carcass treatment. This is an odd treatment. Now, the cure for rheumatism back in the 19th century was to crawl inside of a dead whale's body and just hang out for a bit. And by a bit, I mean a full 30 hours. After that point, you would definitely be healed for at least 12 months. Yeah, it began in the town of Eden, obviously a whaling town on the southern coast of Australia. Only while this was happening, it was kind of funny, the user's head would be poking out of the whale. Yeah, like the world's worst sleeping bag, all tucked in there, getting better. It all started when an intoxicated man stumbled into a dead whale body, passed out, and then when he woke up, his rheumatism was cured, just like that. Yeah, from pale ales to pale whales. No more achy joints for you, my friend, let's do it. And finally, number 1. Egyptian nose job. Plastic surgery is more widespread now than it ever has been before, but it's all because it started a long time ago, especially in the ages of the ancient Egyptians. In the Edwin Smith papyrus, along with the documentation of trauma surgeries, bone fractures, fixes, and all that jazz, this text also shows examples of fixes for nasal injuries, which I gotta kinda I have to seek some of that right now. I think I need to get my nose fixed. Can't breathe a lot. The treatment involved manipulating the nose into the desired position before using wooden splints or lint or swabs, anything really to hold it into place. It's an ancient nose job. That's crazy, right? It's truly wild to think back about how much, these people had shaped our world and lives, especially our medical world today. While so much of the civilization still remains a mystery to us, right? It's crazy how much we still know and how much we still don't know.